Friends, next week the Jubilee of Mercy will come to a close. But definitely this does not mean that we will cease being merciful to each other just as the Father has been merciful to us. Mercy should become our lifestyle. Today and next week, we will recall some of the things we learned from the teachings and gestures of Pope Francis during the Jubilee of Mercy. Pope Francis has been encouraging us to never get tired of approaching the merciful God. In many activities, especially the 24 hours for the Lord on his third year now, the Pope invites us to see again the beauty of the sacrament of confession and reconciliation. Through this sacrament, we come back to the Lord. This is why in Misericordiae Vultus, he says, "Let us place this sacrament at the center once more, in such a way that it will enable people to touch the grandeur of God's mercy with their own hands." What is extended in this sacrament through the person of the priest is the loving embrace of the merciful Father who welcomes his children back. This loving embrace is a source of true interior peace for every penitent. In the prayer vigil to dry the tears held in May, the Pope invited us to show compassion to those who are suffering and to count on the compassion of our Lord. He reminded us of how moved Jesus was at the death of Lazarus and the sorrow of his sisters, that he also wept. According to Pope Francis, this gesture of Jesus tells us that in our pain, we are not alone. But he also teaches us something important that seems to be overlooked today. We are called to console those who suffer. The tears of Jesus should serve as an antidote to our indifference to the suffering of others. His tears, the Pope says, should teach us to make the pain of others our own and to share in their painful situations. There is one more reminder. Our communion with those who suffer should impel us to turn to the Father in prayer, as Jesus did. "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me," he prayed before the tomb of his friend Lazarus. We should keep a prayerful and trusting disposition whether we are suffering or consoling others. The Father hears us and shall come to our aid, says the Pope. Then in Assisi last August, the Pope invited us to pardon those who have hurt us. He said, "The world needs forgiveness. Too many people are caught up in resentment and harbor hatred because they are incapable of forgiving. While this seems to be a difficult move, especially when one's life was ruined and wounds still exist, we can only pray to God for the grace to forgive as we have been forgiven. This is what the world needs now." There you go, brothers and sisters. We shall continue this reflection next week. Let us continue praying for the grace to become merciful like our Father in heaven.